Welcome to episode 3 of the Mighty Fuzz podcast with my brother, Skriptkeeper. Skriptkeeper is a social media influencer that has been working tirelessly for the last 5 years to wake up humanity, his people.
5 years is a long time.
Script, thanks for coming today, man.
Oh, no problem, brother. Glad I could make it.
I really appreciate everything that you've been doing, man. You've taught me a lot. I'll say that. Like, there's so much stuff that you've been disclosing and looking into, and I just want to give a disclaimer. If anybody, because I'm pretty sure if you're watching this, you know who this man is. There may have been times where he may have posted something where it either was slightly untrue or maybe he got something wrong. But let me just remind everybody that Fox News and CNN has been lying to you your whole life.
Facts.
Right?
Yeah.
And this man does this for free 99. This man works tirelessly to wake people up. It's honestly an honor to have you, brother. What is your goal with doing all this work for the last 5 years?
The end goal would be that I don't have to do it no more. Like we're there, and all we're doing is moving on to the next part, the next phases, which is community build up. So like everybody's always talking about, well, what's the end game and where are we going, and everybody's like, oh, well, let me send you this. Oh, that's doom, and you're only focusing on the negativity. Then when we focus on the positivity, they don't see that we're focusing on the positivity of it. But what happens when there's less deaths, less crime, and we're not worrying about our sovereignty? We get the sovereignty back. We get the country back. The world is not in chaos the way it is right now. Where do we go from there? Because everybody's going to be out of a job. All the people that are recording and reporting on this every day, they're going to be out of a job. So that's why I always say, like, they never really get into the unity part, because the unity is what ends it. We can't just keep blaming the right and the left. We all have to come together. So I mean, that the end game would be us unified, moving a court, taking care of our communities the way they did it before we had TV and all these electronics.
You're singing my favorite song, and people play very tribal games, brother. And listen, we all played into it, man. Yeah, I'm sure if you go down on my Facebook as a person that grew up as a Democrat in my house, only because of culture. Like, if you lived I grew up in New York City, and everybody was a Democrat.
Yeah.
Everybody was. And then you start to wake up and you start talking about, like, what really matters and stuff, and then you start to see this Democratic Party playing you. So I got involved, and it wasn't that I became Republican. I was trying to clean house in my Democratic Party. And by doing so, I immediately was outcasted from people that were Democratic-minded.
It's a hive mind.
Yeah, and so now I catch myself in more groups where they're more Republican-minded, like yourself, right? Like,
yeah.
And what we're trying to do is trying to make people realize that this is a two-party system that is playing us, right?
Oh, yeah. Both sides playing. I mean, I never really considered politics. So, like, when I was younger, I was always like, the right and the left it's a bullshit narrative. Like, they got us divided. I was always on this. When I think of Democrats, I think of John F. Kennedy Jr. I think of a time where, they were trying to clean up New York City. They weren't going too crazy. They weren't violating people's rights and, all of that. But people, when they think Democrat, they automatically think that, these extremists that we have now, like the ultra far left. And they'll say that the ultra far right is extremist too, but it really isn't, because the right went so far to the right, they became left. The left went so far to the left, they became right. And people don't realize it. It's just like the politic trickery that they do. They make us all think that there's like this hidden agenda and an enemy that's there with the people. There's never been any hidden agendas with the people. It's the politics. The politics is where the hidden agendas come from. The people, I'll bring you to a perfect example. 9/11. 9/11 happened. Nobody talks about 9/12. 9/12, nobody cared if you were Muslim. They just said we just got attacked by Muslims. The Muslims are the ones that jihadists took down the towers, and they're attacking us and all that. But in Manhattan, we were all helping each other. Everybody was trying to help each other. Nobody was thinking about, oh, are you the Muslim that did it? On the news, they were telling you that, but that's not what happened 9/12. People were running, panicking. We ran across the bridge on 9/11. We had to run over into Brooklyn. We were getting ready for San Gennaro's feast because we've been there for years, like the family doing what they do. But like I know when that happened, the next day, everybody wanted to help. Nobody cared about Republican, Democrat. Nobody cared about Giuliani or George Bush or, they put them in the TV. They put them in the spotlight. But the people, nobody talks about the people, what the people were doing. Nobody was trying to
How
kill
New York
each other.
came together.
Yeah, New York was one. Nobody was trying to rob anybody. Nobody was like trying to rape anybody. People were trying to get water to people that couldn't breathe, or people looking for people under rubble and under cars. So, like nobody ever talks about that. They don't talk about the day after. They only talk about 9/11, like how bad it was and the panic and the chaos. But they don't talk about 9/12, how there was no politics involved. Everybody just came together.
I think you're touching on something, and I remember that. I remember New York City coming together, and even though we were being hit with major propaganda in that time, like we seen something so horrific in New York. We grew up, we seen it, and then they told us who the bad guy was, and we didn't even question it. And now here we are again, right? Here we are again. What is it? 23, 24 years later, and we now have another boogeyman, another, whether it be viruses or World War III or, and I hope to see another September 12th, brother. I would really like to create a September 12th where we all come together, and this time we're awake. And that's why I think you're so important, because you are spending your whole day, you're on live all day talking to people all over this country. Even you were telling me all over the world.
Yeah, I got people that check in from everywhere, so it's cool. It grew to where it was when I first started. I was on Facebook, and I remember just talking about like the Hunter Biden laptop, and I had it. I had all the info. I started putting it out, and they just started taking accounts from me, and I'm like, this is confirmed. Then later on, look how later it is. We're in 2022, going into 2023. Now it's confirmed the laptop is real.
Right.
How many accounts did we lose? Trying to get that info out to everybody and let them know this is what's happening. That could have changed the whole course of everything, because he was compromised. He should have never been in there. Joe Biden should have never been in there, because the laptop exists. It can be held as blackmail over somebody's head. So, these were things that we were doing. So, like, I mean, it's just changed now. Now they just tell us we got a virus. You better not lock down. I'm not locking down for nothing. I didn't lock down the first time. I got chased out of places. I got cops called on me. I'm never locking down.
Let's get into that, and that's why I touch on this September 12th thing, because I think it's really important that all the people that have been speaking out to come together in this time. We're gonna have differences, I definitely have differences with people in the freedom movement, but right now I think we all need to come together, because I believe there will be a mob of people that will stand with us. And if we don't have unity amongst the people that have been doing this for 3 years, we've been doing this for 3 years. When was the Department of Health when we were together?
I was 22.
20, so even that was 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, so, it was like the beginning, right?
And you came from Florida. You stood with us when you came from Florida all the way up. But now you're back. And I think just unity and making a stand, reaching out to, the main thing is we got to get people in the NYPD to understand who they're taking orders from, I think. And we need to have that dialogue, because following orders this time around, you're on the wrong side of history. How do you think we go about that? How do we start that conversation?
Well, I mean, so it's always the politicians that are in charge, right? So they'll say, de Blasio. Remember when de Blasio was in, right? They were like, because I watched it. I watched the 2020 rioting, the looting, everything. And I saw the cops just standing on the corner, like with their arms up like this, because they had orders. Stand by, don't do nothing. While everybody wreaked havoc and did what they did. Then when you got people standing up against child trafficking, or, they're standing up against a migrant situation, whatever the case is, the people are allowed to protest. This is the things that I look at. And I always remember specific things, because that's what my memory's like. Like I got muscle memory, so I'm always going to remember these things. But like when people started standing up, the police would arrest them. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Y'all are arresting people that are, it's their right to protest, freedom of assembly. They're protesting peacefully, and they're not burning nothing. But y'all sat back while they were burning the city down, robbing shit. I remember seeing a man that owned a deli in Manhattan. He got hit with 2x4s. Him and his wife, they both died. I remember this.
Yeah, excuse me.
And the cops let that happen.
Yeah.
But now you're gonna get mad that like we feel a certain way, so we're gonna stand up, and they're going along with this. They're like,
Right.
wait, so if you're gonna follow those orders and you're gonna do that, where is your morale? Are you an NPC? Are you even real? Do you have children? What are your children gonna grow up in? If you let them run you this way right now, and I call it bootlicking. So if you're gonna let them, run you the way they're running you now, your kids are gonna have nothing. They're gonna have nothing. And they're gonna be robots.
Let me, and 100% script, and let me just say real quick, because I know the people that are watching, we are not against law enforcement. There's a difference between policy enforcers and law enforcement. That's for another conversation. My family specifically, my wife and I, we worked on writing religious exemptions for police, firemen, sanitation.
too.
My brother Script as well. So we're in no way bashing, but where we are at today is mandates are not law at all. Mandates are not law.
It's an authoritative command.
So we are all complying, willing participants to tyranny if we all play along. And this is why we, the people, have to come together in this time.
It's important. And that's the other thing, too. What about, all the people like the New York Freedom Rally? I was in Florida watching. Y'all had like 200,000 people on the bridge marching.
20,000.
Well, it looked like it looked like
felt
100.
like it, too.
It was crazy. Y'all had a lot of people. But I'm just saying, like, y'all went and did this for the people that were losing their jobs because they didn't want to get the jab or whatever it was. Y'all were out there fighting. How many times have you seen those same people you were fighting for enforcing on you? Just to answer that question for me.
One, I will tell you this. Crystal said this to you behind the scenes. What ended up happening was people were getting into this mode of cheering, but not really realizing we were doing it not so people would cheer for us. We needed everybody to participate. This only works if we all come together.
Everybody has to do it.
They didn't understand that. No, I got a house, I got kids. So do we. I got mortgages, I got cars. So do we. Like, I mean, I don't. This house we're in right now, I got to pay that mortgage. So I'm sure you're in Long Island, you got one too. So
it's always like that.
We all have.
That's the truth of the matter. That people buck back.
Yeah, and it's like
take that step back.
And let me tell you, let me just put this in real quick. They're banking on you to be self-serving. They're banking on you to be scared and worry about you and yours, and that's how they're able to move forward. Yeah, they're waiting for that.
It's twisting. It's putting your hand in a bind. So when they put your hands in the bind, you have no choice but to say, "Oh man, if I don't pay my bills, I'm gonna lose my house." Well, how about this? And I'm gonna put this scenario in there. If you stand up, right, and you build yourself up with standing up and fighting this tyranny, rather than wait for them to come knock on your door because they know that you won't give them no problem. They just march you and your family right out of your house and then bring you to a camp or a re-education camp. I won't say FEMA camp. I'll just say a re-education camp because New York is the epitome of re-imaging. Like that's Bill Gates wants to reimage the educational system. This one wants to do this over here. With the epicenter and ground zero for COVID is because of 9/11 is New York. Like this is what we have in mind. So, like the cops that are sitting there and not challenging it, and because they're worried about a paycheck. First of all, this is just me. I'm going to tell you, Suffolk County is the highest paid police force in the country. The highest paid police force. They don't see nearly a third of the crime that the city sees, the boroughs, right? So they're doing this and enforcing this law, and they're not even really getting paid for it. They're making enemies. They're instead of saying, "Hey, these people are standing up. This is their constitutional right." I'm supposed to serve the community. I'm supposed to protect their constitutional right. They're like, "Oh man, Adams is going to cut back on the force. He's going to cut back on hours. Now I'm going to lose time." You can't think like that because if you think like that, you're replaceable. So why are you worrying about it for anyway? Because somebody will just walk right in and take your spot. So why, if you're even contemplating that in your brain and saying that, "Oh man, they're going to cut back on hours," you don't have security. So if you don't have security, then you might as well join the fight because once they overtake, because it won't even be the people standing up for the people. It's going to be the ones they infiltrate and send in under the table. They're going to overtake. Here, I'll bring you a prime example. How do you police the police?
Mm.
You want me to tell you how?
Tell me.
You bring foreign nationals in and people from a different country, and you give them all the rights and bypass the whole system, because in Illinois right now,
That's what they're doing.
they're going to swear in they're illegals because they haven't done the process. They may be great people. I don't know them. But I'm just saying they haven't gone through the process that my grandparents went through, your family went through, and some of us our family is really immigrants. So they didn't go through that, but they're getting the right to take the job from the police officer that's been there for his whole life. He grew up in the town, the neighborhood, and everything, became a police officer. Guess what? He might be replaced now. They're going to just put somebody in there that speaks a little bit of English, wherever they're from, and now they can go and arrest the citizens.
My question is, how is everybody just like? There's people that speaking out. We're in that movement that people are speaking out, but like the cops, like how are they looking at this and going, no, this is normal and this is what we're going to protect, and like I'm having a hard time. I feel like we're in the twilight zone a little bit, like how they're just okay with it or just minding their business. Let me Script just said this, like this will affect you. If the freedom movement is the only thing standing in front of this in New York City, and for everybody outside of New York City that goes, oh, well, you voted this in, you guys are also the same people that say the elections are messed up. We have
That's a fact.
We have a chance here. If everybody comes together in New York City to learn a lesson, we see what happens when you allow these corrupt people to run your city.
Yeah.
And there's a lesson, and we went through it, right, for the last 3 years, but we have the opportunity. We, the people, have the power. We can stand up in this time right now together, no division, and actually stop this in its tracks.
Yeah, well, it would start with them to actually, if the police were like, no, I'm not enforcing that on the people. All right, so let me give you a prime example. The Summer of Love, BLM, had the police commissioner on his knee, bending down in unison, in unity, okay? A couple of the police chiefs, I've seen it in Camden, they walking and protesting with him. No violence, no rioting, no burning nothing down. They all did this, right? So if y'all can do that, what makes the freedom movement different when we're not doing anything? We're not coming there. We're just telling you to think about what you're doing. But what's the difference? Why are you arresting the people that are standing up for, like, grooming children? You're arresting people that are standing up saying, hey, this is unethical what they're doing. They're moving out Americans that have been here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They're moving them out real quick, and we're bringing new people in. We know nothing about them. They haven't been vetted. We don't know anything. So these are main issues because it's their community.
And it's an agenda.
It's their community, though. So what you said, oh, some of these people don't understand New York. They're in, smaller areas. It's coming to your areas, too. What do you think? Just because New York is the melting pot. So like once New York tips over, it spills into the rest of the country because the United Nations is here. The Federal Reserve Bank is here. You want me to keep going? Why New York is the capital of the world? Keep
going, bro.
The stock market is here.
Keep going.
Where is everything built off? New York. 100%. Everything runs out of New York. The ports. Where did they all come from? All around the world. They come in New York. Right now, they might be going through the border, up in north and south. But I'm just saying, everybody always runs to New York, and they have that saying: if you make it in New York, you'll make it anywhere in the world.
You were telling me that you were thrown out of your lodge because of who you voted for. Let's get right to it, bro.
All right.
You told me that you got thrown out of your lodge for who you voted for. What exactly happened?
Oh, so like with the Freemasons, when I had joined, I had a friend that like I kind of grew up with, and not really grew up with, but we were in like the same like grade, same age bracket, and I just put up a picture of the three Masonic Great Lights. It was the Great Lights, and he's like, "Yo, what's that, bro? You seeking light?" And I was like, "Of course." So then we started talking. I had already known about this. I knew about the Illuminati. I knew about all this stuff already. So when I went in, I'm like expecting it to be some like grand thing with the Masons and all that. It was the boringest thing ever. You have to study. You have to memorize stuff. You have to do all this crazy shit. But lo and behold, a few years later, 2016 came around. I basically did not vote for Trump. So, I wanted to see what Trump was going to do because I was like,
So you voted for Trump?
No, I voted in 2020, not 2016.
Oh, okay.
I never voted. I never believed in any of the politics. I'm like the right and the left's controlled, and we're out here looking like headless chickens. That's how I always felt. And then I saw Trump's policies. So President Trump, the way he set everything up, I'm like, wait, this right here is great for us. This is really good for us. This is borderline. But this, he recountered it and came back with something else that would help with a certain situation. So I just watched his policies just to see all these promises he made. Did he keep them? He did. But I've never, ever seen the news and the media attack a president the way they attacked President Trump. So I'm like, oh man, this guy, I'm looking at it. I already did the research. I got all the proof. I told you about the Hunter Biden laptop, that they said it wasn't real. Now we find out it was real. We were putting this back up in 2019, the Hunter Biden laptop. We had it already. Myself, I had it. But yeah, so I went on and I was still in the lodge. This was around, I guess, 2019 going into 2020. And we never talked politics or religion. And the head of the lodge asked me, so who are you voting for? We're in New York, guys. Remember I said this. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to vote for Trump. You're going to vote for that idiot? Like, it changed the whole, no, we're not judging you on anything to, you can't vote for him. You got to be kidding me. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, here, let me show you a few things that he did because I don't vote. I never voted. I start showing him. It was like, that was my first experience of cognitive dissonance.
In the Masonic Lodge.
In the Masonic Lodge.
Now that you've been outside of the lodge, do you feel any different towards the Masons? Can you shine some light, no pun intended? Because I honestly don't know much about the Masons. I have friends that are Masons, about 10 friends that are Masons, and they're all good men. I don't really. I'm in darkness when it comes to.
As they would say, you're in the dark, you're going to be illuminated. As far as the Masons and stuff, it's just a bunch of, older guys looking for the younger guys to take over the lodge and keep it and raising money, putting it into the big grand lodge and, and so forth. That's like a quick breakdown of it, rendition. They do guard secrets. The secrets is like true history. Things that happened all the way back to King Solomon and, our presidents. And there are things that, like, if you really want to know, they say, ask one to be one. They're not going to teach you this stuff in school because it's so far-fetched. You'd be like, huh? Really? Like, that's how most people would look at it. They'd be like, oh, man, I don't know about this. Like, really? This is true? Like, so there's good things about it. But, at my lodge, they had a rule. No registered sex offenders. No baby fuckers. Pardon the language. You can bleep it out. But, yeah, that's exactly what it was. So I was like, all right, so there's some decent men in here. But then you see how the judges know each other. The lawyers know each other. And this one works for this alphabet agency. And, so...
There's a network.
It's a network. It's a spider web, and it is deep. So now as far as like child trafficking and all that didn't happen at my lodge. I wasn't going home and hanging out with everybody every night, but like what I'm saying is like there was no evidence of anything like that, But I walked away from it. It took me going to the boards in 2017 and a slow process till, come back to God.
So you say
come back. And the Masons believe in God.
So that's what I want to ask you. I know you weren't a 33rd degree Mason.
No.
Is there any truth at all that you can speculate on that you have to denounce Jesus or anything like that?
I never. They said go and when you're doing your obligation and you're doing your degrees, go pray to your God, whoever it is, whether it's Allah, Jesus, Yahweh, Hare Krishna. They just like you have to believe in deity. You have to believe in deity.
You have to believe in deity.
You can't be an atheist.
Okay, so atheist.
It's impossible. I didn't meet too many Satanists that believed in Satan. Mostly everybody, they believed in Christianity. They believed in God and Jesus, and so forth. But it was a real turnoff to see that because we're not supposed to judge. It's almost like the church.
Yeah.
So that was like a stepping stone for me of pulling away. Like I'm not gonna go back because my main focus should be on on God and Jesus. It shouldn't be on the lodge and the lodge agenda and the lodge things. But they also have clandestine Freemasonry where you get into your skull and bones and you get into your Illuminati and you get into these real secret societies that they're talking about that do a lot of evil.
And those are
negative things.
compartmentalized, and that's why there's so many people that are involved that don't even know what, like, when they hear these conspiracies that the Illuminati and stuff like that. I'm sure there's regular Masons that are like, what are these people talking about? Like, I literally am a good human that is just part of this lodge, and and then people start defending it, and it's people talk about what they don't know about. That's why I really don't talk about the Masons, because I don't know enough.
Well,
I know
symbolism.
I know
remember everything is symbolism.
Right, and I knew the founding fathers were Masons. I knew that a big part of when they did write the Constitution, the reason they made freedom of religion was so there would be no fighting like happening in England. A lot of the guys, you got to remember, a lot of the wars that happened were holy wars, and it was it was the state that would use our belief systems against us. So when a Mason, which is some people think are bad, some people think are good, write this Constitution, they made sure that like we need freedom of religion, because if not, we'll just have holy wars here too. And look what happened. The people that took over. I mean, you guys can call 2001 a holy war. It's just not framed that way, but you can call it that.
Yeah, well, they put it that way. I mean, they said, these were jihadists that did this, extremists, and they want to. I mean, they were showing. I forget where it was. I think it was the Ayatollah, and they were screaming "Death to America." I mean, they've hated us as much as everybody says. And shout out to all the military veterans. I love the military people, and I love the veterans. But even they had to take their orders and just do it. And then there was some that would get court-martialed because, like, I'm not killing that person. I'm not doing that. It would go against their moral compass.
Well, they were lied to, too.
Well, they were definitely lied to, because most of the ones I talked to about Iraq and Afghanistan, they were like, oh, we were guarding poppy fields.
Right.
What do you mean you're guarding poppy fields?
Right, brother.
That goes back to the three-letter agencies, the corporations, and the corporation you are. You're a corporation. You're a corporation. Right. I'm a corporation. And they go, what do you mean?
They're not ready. They're not ready for that.
Too deep. Too deep.
That's for the next episode. But, Script, I think you touch on something that's really important, which is our brave men and women who literally fought for our country and for freedom, thinking that there was a group of people that wanted to kill us because of our freedom and stuff like that. And it ended up being where our government lied to us for resources. And think about our veterans now, man. I recently spoke with a veteran that was still working for the military. He wasn't like in combat or nothing, but like now he's just working for the military. He's been like retired from actually being at war and stuff like that for a long time. And I just heard him say that, now we're kind of hearing that we went to these wars based on lies. And I'm like, this man literally seen death. This man literally seen his friends get killed or had to take life. And rough. When he said it, it just like, it resonated so crazy that what he was saying to me was that he was lied to go to these wars, as many of our brave men and women, and watch people die or have to kill people, which
it's deep.
It's reason 355 why we all got to come together and stop this shit show.
Well, I see like they're like defund the police, defund the government, defund the military. Listen, if we were to defund our military, right? 110%, just defund it the way they want this, like, get rid of it. These are the people that really hate the veterans. Yeah. And they don't understand. They hate the military. They hate anybody that's serving, right? They don't understand. As soon as we deplete our military, all these other countries are like, oh, you remember when you did this in 1989? You remember this from 1995? You remember this from 98? They're going to come and try to destroy us, like, instantly. So when you hear President Trump always talking about, we're going to rebuild the military, we're going to make our military powerful, there's a reason for that, so they don't.
Right, for defensive reasons, not offensive reasons.
Not what we saw growing up. Remember, these were Republicans and Democrats. This was Bill Clinton. You had George Bush, weapons of mass destruction. They never found them.
Yep.
Then he admits later on, when they blew off and the bombs went off at the towers. He just said that recently too.
Right.
These are things like they lied to us, so they lied to the military too. But at the same time, all the wars have been propagandized like they need money.
100%.
Wars generate money.
Yeah, man. I was just doing a little history on that, where like World War II, we became the universal currency, the reserve currency for the world instead of the pound.
Federal.
And there was conditions with that where we had to keep gold. It had to be backed by gold, and the ounce had to be a certain amount. And by 1970, other countries started realizing that we were just printing money.
No.
So Nixon said, "All right, we're temporarily getting off the gold standard, and we have never been back."
Yeah, we're getting close to it. They passed a lot of bills that I've seen go through Congress and stuff. Where we are, the weight of gold, it's fixed in the weight of gold, and that's what we go by. Gold backs are out there right now. Silver and gold. I tell everybody, everybody's like crypto. I don't do crypto. I'm like, go buy silver and gold. That's your best thing that you can do.
That's great advice, bro.
Yeah.
Because you once again, you're now in a system that they control again. I'm like, oh no, it's outside the Federal Reserve. It's outside the Federal. Okay, well now you're in another Federal Reserve.
Now you're part of the Fed now.
Yeah,
Reserve.
I want to thank you for coming, Skrip.
No problem.
We definitely have to do this again because you were touching on our what's the word for it? Our corporation self.
Yeah, the straw man.
Yeah, the straw man. I just had Ray of Saving Sovereignty on, and he knows a lot about that stuff. And we'll have you on. We'll start touching on that. I think we just have to wake people up that the government doesn't love them. So my goal now is to
That's the main goal.
Right. And once we get there, we can start explaining the corporation and the strawman and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And just remember, the people that are going live every day trying to wake people up, they literally dedicated themselves to do this no matter what was happening. Because I wasn't an influencer. I was a rapper.
Yes.
And I worked a regular 9 to 5, and I was not online like this.
I'm going to be getting the Zoom together. I'm going to have Joker on, Don Q on, right
Joker
side.
Q.
I would love to have my brother Graf on. We got to bring everybody together, man. We're all part of the same team. We're all part of the same movement. We all got to come together. Skrip, where can they find you? Where can they find your music?
Oh, just go at Skriptkeeper. So just SKRIPT and then KEEPER. You can Google it, Yandex, Brave. I'm on everything. Spotify, Apple, Instagram. Just type in Skriptkeeper. I do have one like on TikTok. I'm on my 55th account, 56th account.
Shit.
And I had to buy a new phone. So Joker and I, we have a lot of phones. We've been
Yes,
through
you
a lot
guys
of
do.
phones.
I've seen them.
Because we were going through one point, I'll give this quick one before I get out of here.
Go for it.
From telling the truth, they would block us from making new accounts because of the IP address. So I would factory reset the phone and go get a new SIM card with a new phone number. Well, it got to the point where they caught on to that.
Wow.
So now you just have to buy a new phone. There's no way of doing it. So we'd have to buy a new phone. I see a lot of influencers, big ones, they get huge accounts. They never get taken down. Why don't they get taken down?
Yeah. Always a red flag, bro.
Yeah.
Because everybody's getting hit. Everybody's getting hit.
Even little accounts get hit. I had little accounts at one time,
Yeah.
I would get taken down in a second just for saying the wrong thing.
That's right, brother. Yo, Skrip, thanks for all the work you do, man. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
going by
brother.
today.
You too,
I
man.
appreciate it. Now we in this together, man.
I know. We got to keep moving forward.
We the people.
We the people forever.